You know, it's in a poor old field biologist's lifetime, you would never expect to find a new anything. Everything's been discovered. There are no new species out there. Lo and behold, we found a new species of sage grouse. In 1977, when I started collecting data at Gunnison, I realized that this bird was somewhat different in size. It took us about 20 years to get to where we are now, to recognizing it as a new species, and I was very conservative. I didn't want to believe it was a new species of sage grouse. This is the beast. It's a handsome beast. It only weighs about 4 pounds. The hens are much smaller, of course. The hens only weigh about 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. And once we get Sterling out of the way here, we'll see how beautiful it really is. Note the tail pattern is very novel. Note that the phyllo plumes, the ponytail, so to speak, is very novel. These slides, incidentally, are by one of my wildlife commissioners, Lewis F. Swift. They're all copyrighted for obvious reasons. Because of our work in Colorado, in 1995, we made a presentation to the Wilson Ornithological Society recommending that they consider a new species of sage grouse. They were aghast that the way we did it, because taxonomists do things differently than field biologists. But we have pushed on. We have done a very careful, slow, methodical job of trying to describe this new species. And it is Central Circus minimus. This is the accepted name for it. It will be accepted by the AOU. If you look at the 1998 issue of the AOU species descriptions, there's a footnote under sage grouse that says that a new species of sage grouse is being described in Colorado. This is it. Note the tail pattern again. I want you to get familiar with this bird. Note the tail pattern. Look at the ponytail. Look how much different that is from the northern, the large-bodied sage grouse, which are lovely, but not nearly as lovely as this rascal. and so just a few pictures to give you some idea that this is really a spectacular bird. The tail pattern is really unique. All right. Why is it a new species? Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. As a biologist, I'm interested in data. I don't just look at things and say, God, that looks wonderful. It is or it isn't. I'm the type of person that says, show me. What are the data and what can you do with them in terms of supporting your claim that it is a new species and not just a subspecies. And we approached it on 4 different levels. Morphometrics, which are measurements. Feather characteristics, which you saw the phyllo plumes and the tail patterns. Behaviors, we had a PhD student work on behaviors. And I might say that this isn't just my effort. There's a number of people involved with this. Jerry Huff and I did the initial work and published a paper in the Wilson Bulletin on morphometrics. Jessica Young, Jerry Huff, Jack Bradbury, and I did the work on behaviors. This paper published in Animal Behavior on that aspect of it. Dr. Tom Quinn from the University of Denver has done the DNA work along with Jessica Young and Sarah Euler. Work down here. And a paper has been accepted by AUK describing the genetics of this new species. So looking first at just at morphometrics, these are tarsus culmen lengths regressed here. The birds up here, those are Jackson County birds. Those are large-bodied sage grouse. All these little dots down here are the Gunnison sage grouse. Obviously, there's a significant difference. It's not really any overlap, and they differ in size. The Gunnison birds are 1/3 smaller than the large-bodied birds. And so morphometrically, in terms of any type of measurement you take, they differ from all of the northern sage grouse, no matter where you measure northern sage grouse, whether it's Oregon, Wyoming, or northern Colorado. Looking at feather characteristics, you've seen some of those in the spectacular shots by Louis Swift. Here's tail patterns. That bird right there is a small-bodied sage grouse. Right to the left of it is the large-bodied sage grouse. Over here on the far right your far right, is the small-bodied sage-grouse again. So you have 2 feathers there from small-bodied sage-grouse and 2 feathers from the large-bodied sage-grouse. And so the tail pattern is very striking. Plus the tail feathers actually are longer. They have longer tails. And they use them much differently. They really wag the tail compared to the large-bodied sage-grouse. And of course the fodder plumes, this is drawn directly from a slide. This is a drawing. And the fodder plumes are very elaborate. Of course, during July and August, they break off. Right now, they're at their maximum. If you look at Gunnison sage-grouse right now, they look like they have these nice adornments, and when they actually strut, they look like a ponytail, versus the northern sage-grouse. Again, this is right from a slide of the northern sage-grouse, a drawing by a biological illustrator. This is for publication. There's also differences in the bill shape. So they definitely differ in their plumage. And of course, behavior, if you're interested in behavior, Jessica Young did this for her PhD at Purdue. And I'm not a behaviorist, but very briefly, there's differences in strut rates. These happen to be the northern sage-grouse, and they're very slow and ponderous. These are seconds down here, frequency over here. They're very slow, ponderous. It's pop, pop, poik, poik, pop, pop, poik, poik. Whereas the Gunnison sage-grouse is much faster, many more involvements in it, and it's more like a tea kettle bubbling, bubble, 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 and it's really spectacular. Plus, Jessica Young did playback experiments between the northern and the Gunnison sage-grouse. She played calls of the northern sage-grouse to Gunnison sage-grouse, and all the Gunnison sage-grouse ran away from the calls. And then she played the calls, in the same morning she played the calls then of the Gunnison sage-grouse. 2 Gunnison sage-grouse. They came right back and tried to mate with the speaker. She then did the same experiment in Moffat County. She played the calls of the Gunnison sage-grouse to the large-bodied birds. They all ran away from the speaker. She then played the calls of the northern sage-grouse to the northern sage-grouse. They came back and tried to copulate with the speaker again. So there's clearly avoidance, and there's clearly some behavioral mechanisms that would prevent interbreeding even if the birds came together. Looking then at DNA, this was the thing that clinched me up to that point. I was thinking, well, just a subspecies. But when I saw the DNA, this is a Gunnison sage-grouse. These are the other sage-grouse in Colorado. Incidentally, many of these haplotypes, these are haplotypes, mitochondrial DNA. Many of these haplotypes that we have in the northern sage-grouse in Colorado also occur in Oregon, Nevada, Wyoming, Utah, any place we've looked at it. And so all the large-bodied birds are very closely related. There might be 2 different isolation periods for the northern sage-grouse. But the Gunnison sage-grouse stood off from the northern sage-grouse at least 10,000 years ago. And so they've been isolated. And they've been isolated geographically. And once you have them isolated geographically, then you can have strange things happen with the bird where only a few males do most of the breeding. And that's an important message in looking down the path. Here we have Colorado historically, and the state is conveniently divided into 2 pieces again. The southern area, southwestern area, is the Gunnison sage-grouse, and it would appear on the surface that some of these red dots once came together at the split. In reality, they almost did. The birds split along the Eagle and Colorado rivers in Colorado, and all the birds north of the Colorado River and west of the Colorado River in Utah were large-bodied birds. All the birds south of the Colorado River in the Eagle River, where at its junction at Dot Cerro, all those birds were Gunnison sage-grouse. And no matter where you were. And so the birds in New Mexico undoubtedly were Gunnison sage-grouse. The birds in Oklahoma are very likely were Gunnison sage-grouse. Unfortunately, there are no specimens. We can't prove it. So getting back now to where we are, why we're concerned about the Gunnison sage-grouse and why we have been so actively working on conservation plans, which we'll talk about eventually, we don't have much left. Many of the pieces, the small fragments that you see in this slide here, many of those pieces no longer will support sage-grouse, and sage-grouse don't occur there. Consequently, you only have sage-grouse in very small, isolated populations, and these dots are disappearing. This dot is Spring Valley out of Carbondale, Missouri Heights, Glenwood Springs. that dot is gone. Those birds are gone forever. It's growing houses for aspen. That's really true. This dot over here in Mesa County is gone. There'll never be sage-grouse there again. It's growing houses for Vail. It's in the I-70 corridor. Some of these other dots are also disappearing, but we have focused on a number of populations, and we're making every effort with our conservation plan process to make sure that we have these sage-grouse forever. And Utah is doing the same thing at Monticello. So just a couple of wrap-ups to give you an idea about this grouse. They do things similarly to the other grouse, but they actually do it differently. And so when you start looking at the large-bodied birds, think about a small, relative, different species, that it is a sage grouse. It thinks like a sage grouse. It eats sagebrush. It tastes like a sage grouse, but it's different. Genetically, behaviorally, morphometrically, and of course in terms of plumage characteristics. And with that, I'll be happy to talk about anything else about Gunnison sage grouse, or we can go on to our agenda. So light. Right here, question.
Are the habitat use characteristics, the seasonal progression, similar to that for the northern sage grouse?
Her question was, do they use habitat similarly to what the northern sage grouse do? And the answer in general is yes, but there are some specific differences. There's a paper by Jerry Hupp in the Journal of Wildlife Management on the Gunnison sage grouse use of habitats, and they use thicker habitats. They tend to do more snow roosting, smaller body size, plus they in general are much more difficult to trap because they're roosting in the wrong place. Wrong place for sage grouse biologists. The right place for them. And so there are some differences, but in general, it's the same scheme, the same overall scheme. And now Jack Connolly points out that early brood rearing is most important. I would argue that winter is most important. If you don't get into the winter, you don't have to worry about nesting or early brood rearing. And so it's a chicken and egg argument. But they do use habitats in general the same, but there are some small differences. If you look at Gunnison sage grouse in southwest Colorado, they use oak brush. They use deciduous shrubs, a place where no sage grouse would ever be caught in the northern range. But these birds do things differently. They had to evolve to meet their conditions, conditions that they had. It's very likely they occurred deep into Arizona at one time. They had to have. And I think that the early Americans ate them.
You said they use oak brush. What time of the year?
All seasons, but they don't eat it. But it's really important cover. It's really important cover. I've flushed a lot of Gunnison sage grouse out of clumps of oak brush in a habitat that you would never think you'd see a sage grouse in.
Do you have an overlay of land ownership patterns relative to the habitat?
Which area?
For the Gunnison sage grouse.
We have it for all the areas, yes.
So we've just been to Washington State, seen the importance of the CRP land there for that population group. What about the Gunnison, where you say it's housing for Vail and Aspen? I'd like to know more.
Okay. This gentleman wants to know more about the habitat land ownership status. In general, some of the areas are 95% private. Dove Creek is 95% private, 5% BLM. BLM's got about 800 acres of usable habitat at Dove Creek. We have a population size of less than 100. We have extensive CRP in Dolores County. We made Dolores County a conservation priority area for sage grouse. The only way that CRP was allowed in Dolores County in the 1995 Farm Bill, actually 1996, was because of the sage grouse. We've enrolled about 30,000 acres. It's $1 million a year bird to Dolores County. Without the Gunnison sage grouse in Dolores County, the landowners would not have CRP. But they're getting $1 million a year right now from CRP. So over a 10-year period, it's $10 million for 100 birds. Now, and that's economics. You think the landowners are interested in keeping this bird there? You think they're paying for the farm? You think they're bankrolling money? Yeah, they like it. Okay, but at Gunnison, where the largest population is, roughly 60-65% of the habitat is federally owned, primarily Bureau of Land Management and U.S. Forest Service, some state school land. and the rest of it's privately owned. We are using incentives, and I'll get into that in conservation planning, but CRP is an extensive, it's a very good incentive. Anyway, we have the land ownership pattern for every population, and we're tracking the population systematically. The place where we only have 2 to 10 birds is 99% BLM.
Is this a judgment call on BLM now?
No, I didn't make any judgment there.
Well, I just wondered.
I made, in Colorado, I had made the decisions which populations we're going to go forward with. And the leadership team in Colorado has bought my assessment of what the priorities are.
But what are you saying about that BLM 99%? Are you saying something to us?
No, no,
That?
no. Don't read anything into that yet. Yes.
The status of the gap analysis in Colorado, and how quickly can you rework that for your
Don Trupp is working on gap analysis, and I would say that he's made really good progress. We have it done for sage grouse. In other words, not Don Trupp, but in my unit and to the Cooperative Wildlife Research Unit at Colorado State University, we have done the sage grouse.
Okay, I think it's time to move on to our first topic on the Sagecraft Management session. Dr. Schroeder's second attempt